who donate to the district and everything that is scouting, everything that we have would fall apart. And so it's with people like you, and thank you guys so much for coming out to this dinner tonight. It really means a lot to me as a scout. And I know that I've gotten so much from the program, and that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. So, when people think of an Eagle Scout project, they immediately think of refinishing park barns, building benches, or doing some other sort of physical labor. I've done all of these projects before, and they are just as honorable as my project because they also develop leaders. Eagle Scout projects are not about the physical labor involved, although it is a big part of it. They're about planning, executing, and motivating other people to accomplish something that makes a difference. I'm here today to show you a unique way that I approach mine because of a personal passion. I started in Cub Scouts when I was 7 years old. To be honest, I joined scouting because I wanted to spend a lot of time with my dad and my friends. Camping, using a knife, shooting bows and arrows, and not taking showers. Very quickly, I learned that I would do all that and have great quality time with my dad, but also do so much more. Make lifelong friends, gain leadership skills, learn what careers I was interested in, and gain respect for all the leaders that helped me along the way.
Praise and charm.
And we're back. Okay, round of applause, thank you. So, as I was saying, very quickly, okay, I already said that. It helped me gain leadership skills, learn what careers I was interested in, and gain respect for all the leaders that helped me along the way. Some of these people are in the audience tonight at party table number 4. So Ron Chang gave me the courage to step up as crew president of the National Jamboree, even though I was the youngest one. And they elected me without knowing that. And then afterwards they're like, what is this guy doing running our whole crew? So Ron Chang gave me a talk and he's like, hey, you know, don't worry about it, you're going to do a great job. And it convinced me that I was the right guy for the job. So thank you so much, Ron. Terry Clark, who's here tonight, he was a den leader when I was first starting scouting, and his son ended up being my lifelong friend. Great fan if I've ever met one. So thank you so much, Terry, I appreciate it. Traynor, who was one of the Cub Masters who motivated me to stay with scouting when I first started. Thank you so much, Alan. I appreciate it. David Yu, who was on my Eagle Board of Review and somehow let me become an Eagle Scout. Thank you so much. Keith Blackie, who taught me planning skills during the STEM Festival and all of my other projects that I've done with the Youth Literacy Council. Thank you very much. And of course, my dad, who not only taught me that not taking a shower for a week was okay, but also taught me to respect guns, always follow safety instructions, and to remember to bring all of the poles for my tent when camping. It is leaders like these fabulous people that mold scouts and allow them to fly on their own. I bridged to Boy Scouts. And I remember looking back, what a great metaphor for scouting that really was. Wobbling and unsure as I crossed the bridge, but motivated onward by the older scouts. By the end, I had gained enough confidence and wouldn't stop until I had accomplished my goal. In scouting, I first had a lot of merit badge options when I first started. One of the first ones I took on was my reading merit badge, and I knew that it required me to read to children or perform volunteer work at a library. There's one problem with that scenario though. No one 11 years old had been able to work at a library before to read to kids because they thought that nobody could do it. So what I did is I asked the library director what I could do, and so they pointed me towards this program called Traveling Storytime, a program where people read to preschool children in disadvantaged neighborhoods once a week. There was only one problem. I had to commit to at least 6 months of reading once a week. I thought, it's fine, I'll cop out halfway through, it'll be okay. But looking back, that was one of the best decisions I ever made to stick with the program. Each week, as I walked into the preschool where I was supposed to read to these disadvantaged children, the kids would scream, Ryan's here, and it just brought joy to my face every time. Because they were so excited for me to continue reading where I left off. Because I realized that these children, even though they didn't have as many opportunities as I had when I was growing up, they still had that love for learning, that love for literacy that, I always had. And at the end of the year, I was able to give one free book to every kid in that class. I could tell by the way that they held the book to their chest that this was the first time that they had ever owned a book. And that just blew my mind when I figured that out. I talked to the librarians afterward, and they were like, yeah, that's the first book they ever owned. And that's the only book that they have in their entire house. And so when I read that, it broke my heart because, I found out that 60% of Redwood City third graders are not proficient in reading. And when I read that statistic, I was like, wow. Because that moment when I found that out just stuck with me my whole life so far. And that spark is what inspired me to make my eco project. So I started thinking of ways that I could fix this problem. Because I saw the light in these kids' eyes. And I couldn't let that happen to 60% of all the kids in Redwood City. And I figured that maybe I could do something to help about that. So one day, my mom was like, hey, so time's coming up for you to start thinking about your eco project. And so I was in the shower that morning, and I was like, I know exactly what I'm gonna do. And so when she asked me, hey, what are you gonna do? I'm like, I know exactly what I'm gonna do. But the problem is I didn't. I didn't know how long it would take and how many different steps that there were. So it was a big issue, and I decided to tackle it from the basic root problems. I thought about the issues. Kids do not have books in their home, a key indicator of academic success. And in the areas without books, they had 24% of their population living in poverty. I figured that I had to find a way to figure out how to get free books into the hands of these kids that needed them. When designing my book drive, I realized that there was not an easily accessible resource online to guide kids in how to run a successful book drive. A website with forms, press releases, posters, and more was the answer. As I realized as I was doing my research, I was like, where could I find some easy book drive forms? And nobody had any. So I was like, well, as long as I'm going through the effort of doing this all myself, I might as well put it out there for others to use. Next, I realized that kids were not engaged in school because of ridiculous budget cuts. They needed programs that had hands-on experimentation to get them interested. This was not a quick fix or just a single project. I knew I had to set up a youth literacy council that would create free programs and implement them easily at an easily accessible location like the library. The first step was getting the library's agreement to support my projects. This seems easier than it was, believe me. I knew we needed hands-on fun programs run by youth, not adults, because when it comes to problems with youth, you have to look to the youth. I had to present for the Library Foundation Board and the library director to convince them of my idea to start a youth literacy council. So I had to sit there in front of 7 scary adults and talk to them about my project, which I had no backing whatsoever for, so I had to convince them with just my words that it would be a success. So they bought it, and this was my first big presentation where I spoke to people about literacy. But since then, I have spoken before 7 groups and over 1,500 people. Now, I'm honored to speak before you, to get you to give back and help your community by donating to the Boy Scouts. Well, the library and the Library Foundation said yes, and so I reached out to set up the Youth Literacy Council. Luckily, I talked to 3 of my Boy Scout friends that I had made through the program into being my first board members. This started out as a temporary commitment for them, but eventually, I convinced them to stay for years. This just shows how supportive and loyal other Boy Scouts are, and how willing they are to step up when it comes down to the wire. We added 5 more and represented 7 different high schools total in order to represent the youth in our community. Our first project was the book drive, the part that would represent the bulk of my Eagle project. A book drive, easy, right? Just put up the posters and the books will roll in, I said. I remember my Eagle counselor telling me that if I just got 1 book, my Eagle project would be a success because of the planning involved. I took that as a challenge. I wanted to prove her wrong and get as many books as I possibly could. So first, I got 13 schools in 4 cities, 10 businesses, and 9 community locations involved to collect books. A total of 32 book collection locations. I made the posters and other marketing materials from scratch, and then realized, hey, I might need some boxes to pack these books up in. That's when I extended the partnerships I got involved with. Beyond the schools and businesses and community organizations, I reached out to the police who run the Toys for Tots Christmas program and borrowed 32 of their donation barrels, and then decorated them to turn them into book donation barrels. And then I had to convince some adults to drive them to the collection locations because I wasn't old enough to drive yet. I assigned schools to youth volunteers and let them manage the collection of the books because I figured I'd adopt the Boy Scout message and just let the kids run it all by themselves. Because I realized that sometimes you just have to step back because I couldn't organize all of that myself, and I needed to rely on those in my community and the youth that I had trusted to run it for me. The unexpected next step was the storage of the books at my house. Imagine having to move more than 17,000 books up steps to our pool house 80 feet away from the car. And then, not only that, was I naive enough to believe that I'd only have to move them back to the house. Because I figured, oh yeah, it's okay, I'll just give them to the charities and then they'll sort them out. But no, I had to sort them out all by myself because I figured out that most charities only take certain books if they're match their needs. So I had to move them all back out onto my front lawn again, 80 feet away, and then sort them in my front yard. So, yeah, did I say sort? Yeah, a book drive doesn't just stop with collecting the books. You also have to look at each book, determine which age group and category it goes in, and then they need to be boxed up and delivered to the organizations based on their needs. This meant I needed to talk with charities to determine their needs and figure out how to box the books as well. Always be prepared, right? So knowing I needed boxes for books, and always having that Eagle Advisor's voice in my head saying, even with 1 book, yours would be a success. I thought I was over-prepared with 100 boxes of the books. Little did I know, I ended up collecting 17,132 books. I'll let you just think about that for a minute. So let's do the math here if we do. Yeah, I think I was a little underprepared. I was pretty short. I applied for and then received a grant from Disney for my project, and also received some donations from other Scout families. So luckily, I was able to run out and buy some additional boxes for the books. This challenge made me grow, so as I adapted to the problem and came up with a solution to solve it. I planned 3 days for the sorting of the books. Each book had to be evaluated, sorted, and reboxed. The outpouring of support from the community was just outstanding. Scouts, their families, and other volunteers. I really truly couldn't have done it without them, and I share all of my honors with them. We had 73 volunteers spend over 758 hours to get the project done total. After the first collection, We had over 17,000 books. Working with collection sites to continue the donations, we have to date collected over 35,000 books. I brought the books to the 12 different charities, six library literacy programs, 7 schools, and handed them out at 4 community fairs. Seeing the true joy on their faces when they received the books, I had more than one person say to me, "You have no idea what this is going to mean to them." But remembering the look on those kids' faces, I said, "Yes, I think I do know." The best part was inviting the librarians and teachers over to pick out the books they needed for their classrooms. On their own time, they spent hours picking out their choices because of the books that they needed for their classrooms. Because as they told me, there were budget cuts and they couldn't replace books that were falling apart or obtain new books that the students wanted to read. It was really great to see the dedication, and it made me work even harder to help. With the success of the book drive, I wanted to make it even easier for the other people around the world to do the same thing. Because I realized that there's absolutely nothing out there to guide people in the right direction when starting a book drive. So I set up a website with step-by-step instructions, posters, press releases, and recruitment tools. The website has been visited by over 2,300 people worldwide so far. I wanted to make an even larger impact. And I knew that the Youth Literacy Council could be the start of something big. After having success with the book drive and the website, I created many other programs, including, oh, that's the website, by the way. It's pretty cool looking, if I don't say it so myself. I created many other programs, including Money Smarts for teens, hands-on summer science classes for kids, Fun with Robots, science, and math classes, board game days for families, and recently the first ever Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math Festival held on the Redwood City Courthouse Square with 5,000 attendees. We took these various approaches to other ways of approaching literacy in the community because I realized that just getting the books wasn't enough, and that there were many other problems related to literacy that I wasn't addressing in the community. And as a council, we worked together to come up with various solutions to address those problems. In the last 3 years, we've created and implemented 37 projects, donating 9,297 items, benefiting 13,217 people, attracting over 2,000 volunteers. I have raised over $80,000 to make our programs free to the public by writing and getting grants. So yeah, a book drive is a pretty simple equal project, you might say to yourself. But it was so much more than that. It showed me that the loyalty of my friends and my troop, when I needed volunteers, and how far that the Boy Scouts was willing to go to support me as my project grew. It taught me the value of planning and organization, and being flexible when things went wrong. This comic always reminds me of something that my old Scoutmaster used to say, where he'd say, the best Scoutmaster always has his hands in his pockets. And so I guess that's true in a way, and it taught me that the best leaders are able to step back and let people lead things on their own. And once you teach them how to do it correctly. And they're also allowed to let other people make mistakes. And so I always felt that my troop did a great job of supporting me, letting me make my own mistakes, even when I was pretty cocky about it. And they would step back and be like, all right, that's fine. And then later I would always be like, no, you were pretty right there, I messed up. It is by breaking through these mistakes that we come out with stronger character and drive. My Eagle Scout project taught me the importance of nurturing partnerships with community agencies, businesses, and nonprofits to get things done. And it helped me pass on my passion for increasing literacy to thousands of volunteers that, like a pebble on a lake, have ripple effects with their future volunteer activities. I'm proud to have been recognized by many organizations for my Eagle Project and bring honor to Scouting and the programs that sprouted from it. I have been selected as one of the top 30 under 30 worldwide for my impact on literacy by the International Literacy Association. And I have been featured on Good Morning America, ABC7, CBS, and the Disney Channel for my accomplishments. During all of these events, I always stressed the impact that the Boy Scouts had made on my efforts. We're going to play a video really quick, that's why I'm waiting. Unless we can, and that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. So, it's Boy Scouting that deserves most of the credit in the end, because without all of the support that I received from my troop, I would have never been able to accomplish all the things that I have today. I went into the Boy Scouts to spend time with my dad and my friends, and I've been able to do that because it's a fantastic program. But what I didn't expect was that Boy Scouting has taught me to be a confident, decisive, and persistent leader. I hope that I passed on some of my skills to others, like the ones that my leaders and my fellow older Scouts have passed on to me. I'm proud to be an Eagle Scout, and I thank all of you for supporting Scouting. Thank you so much for listening to me talk about my Eagle Project to you today. And I really, honestly, without you guys, it wouldn't be possible, because without the money that you guys donate, this whole thing would fall apart. And so I fondly ask you from the bottom of my heart, please, donate everything that you can today, because without you, this wouldn't be possible. Thank you so much.
All right, Ryan Traynor. That's outstanding, leader. Example of scouting. Don't go away yet. I also understand, Judy and I are parents of an Eagle Scout. Not only is your troop standing by you, supporting you, but so are your parents. So I want to take a moment and recognize Mom and Dad here for all that they do. Before I let you leave the stage, Ryan, and I know this won't be the last time I'm on stage with you, and I look forward to voting for you for council member soon. On behalf of the PAC Sky Council, Boy Scouts of America, I'd like to present to you the certificate for the 2017 Youth Campership in the name of Ryan Traynor, in recognition of your ongoing dedication to the youth of our community. Congratulations, thank you, and keep it going.